"Sir, you're bleeding," the old woman said, her voice trembling as she reached for his arm. Rain hammered against the metal roof of the gas station, drumming so loud it nearly drowned out her words. The man looked up, dazed, one eye swelling shut. His leather jacket was torn, his knuckles raw, and the insignia across his back, steel reapers, gleamed wet in the flickering light. "Don't touch me," he rasped, trying to pull away. But his legs gave out. Without thinking, Eleanor Briggs dropped to her knees beside him. Her hands shook as she tore open a packet of tissues from her worn purse. "You'll catch your death out here," she murmured. He gave a bitter laugh. "Lady, death's been trying." The words hit her harder than the rain. Around them, two other bikers hovered near the pumps, arguing over a broken gas card and an empty wallet. They looked mean, but under the grime and tattoos, she saw something else: fear, hunger, exhaustion. Eleanor didn't ask questions. She just stood, walked into the convenience store, and spent the only $10 she had on bottled water, a sandwich, and a roll of gauze. The cashier stared at her like she was crazy. Maybe she was. When she returned, the biker, his name she'd later learn was Cole Maddox, was sitting against his motorcycle, breathing in shallow bursts. She opened the bottle, pressed it into his hand, and began cleaning the blood on his cheek. "You don't even know me," he muttered. "I don't need to," she replied softly. Pain looks the same on everyone. For a moment, he just stared. The storm raged, thunder rolled, and in that flicker of light, something changed behind his eyes. A man used to fists and fear suddenly remembering what mercy looked like. When she was done, she patted his shoulder. "You'll be fine. Just don't waste the second chance, all right?" Eleanor turned, clutching her thin coat, and disappeared into the rain. That night, her apartment was colder than usual. She had no dinner, just a candle and a prayer. As drops tapped against the glass, she whispered, "Keep him safe." It was a habit she never broke, asking for others before herself. Morning came with sunlight spilling through the blinds. Eleanor stirred at the sound of engines, a deep, rolling growl that grew louder by the second. At first, she thought it was thunder again. Then the windows rattled. She shuffled to the curtain, pulled it aside, and gasped. Dozens of motorcycles lined the narrow street outside her rundown building. Men in leather jackets stood in silence, every one of them with the Steel Reaper's emblem across their backs. At the front, Cole Maddox removed his helmet and looked up at her window. In his hands was a grocery bag: bread, milk, fruit, medicine. Eleanor pressed a trembling hand to her heart as he called out, voice rough but steady. "Ma'am, we're here to return the favor." The neighbors peeked out from behind their doors, watching in disbelief as the feared motorcycle gang carried food and blankets up to her door. Sometimes kindness doesn't come back how you expect. Sometimes it roars back on two wheels, carrying the sound of redemption in its wake. The street trembled beneath the growl of engines as the Steel Reapers lined up along the curb, chrome glinting under the morning sun. Neighbors peeked through curtains and cracked doors, whispering, unsure what a biker gang was doing in front of the old apartment complex on Maple Street. Eleanor Briggs stepped outside slowly, clutching her sweater against her frail frame. Her breath caught when she saw the crowd, dozens of riders standing silently beside their bikes. The air smelled of gasoline and spring rain. A tall man with a leather vest and kind eyes stepped forward, holding out a small bouquet of daisies, their stems wrapped in twine. Behind him stood Cole Maddox, now cleaned up, his cuts healed, his expression full of warmth. When he smiled, Eleanor barely recognized him. He took a step closer. "We came to repay something that money can't measure," he said softly. Eleanor blinked, speechless. Cole went on, his voice rough with emotion. "We weren't just passing through that night. We're part of a veterans charity ride. Someone stole our gas cards at a rest stop. We had no fuel, no food, nowhere to go. You gave us your last $10. That got us through the night. You didn't just feed us, you reminded us that people still care." The words hit her like sunlight breaking through clouds. Around her, riders nodded, eyes glistening beneath their helmets. Cole gestured, and one of the men stepped forward, handing Eleanor a thick envelope. "We told your story," he said, "to friends, to riders across the country." The road lit up with kindness. Eleanor opened the envelope with trembling fingers. Inside was a stack of bills, over $20,000. "It's enough to fix your roof," Cole said gently. To fill your pantry. To make sure you never go hungry again. Eleanor pressed a hand to her mouth, tears spilling freely. Oh, heavens, was all she could manage before her voice broke. But the surprises weren't over. Behind the line of motorcycles, a pickup truck pulled in, loaded with garden soil, wooden planters, and boxes of flowers. Cole smiled when she saw her confusion. You told the store clerk you used to take care of a garden here, he said. So we figured we'd bring it back. By noon, the once empty courtyard outside her building had transformed into a living canvas. The bikers rolled up their sleeves, neighbors joined in, and children from the complex ran around with watering cans. Laughter rose where silence used to linger. The steady rhythm of engines mixed with shovels scraping dirt and the sound of voices reconnecting after years of distance. Eleanor moved among them, her hands dirty, her heart light. She planted a row of marigolds beside the walkway, the same flowers her late husband used to love. Every bloom felt like a prayer answered. As the sun sank low, the courtyard glowed with color: petunias, daisies, roses, lavender. Eleanor stood in the middle of it all, surrounded by life and laughter. She hadn't felt this seen, this loved, in decades. Before leaving, Cole walked up holding a small leather vest. On the back was a custom patch that read, Guardian of the Road. He placed it in her hands. You're one of us now, he said. Wherever we ride, your story rides with us. Eleanor held the vest to her chest, her tears shining in the last light of day. You boys didn't have to. We did. Cole interrupted gently. Because kindness like yours changes everything. As the engines roared to life, 50 motorcycles rolled out of the neighborhood, the sound echoing like a promise through the fading light. People waved from balconies. Kids chased the noise down the street. Eleanor stood in the doorway long after they were gone, the scent of fresh soil and daisies in the air. On her table lay the envelope of money and a single daisy from the bouquet, its petals trembling in the breeze. For the first time in years, she didn't feel small or forgotten. She felt strong. She felt seen. Because the miracle wasn't what she received that day. It was what she had given, a spark of kindness that lit 1,000 miles of road.